It's 11 p.m. You're exhausted. You spent all day fighting your own battles, solving your own problems, trying to move forward in a world that doesn't care about you. You just want an hour of peace. And then your phone buzzes. It's her. You already know what it is before you pick up. It's her boss, who is so toxic. It's her friend Stacy, who was passive-aggressive at brunch. It's her mother, who is emotionally demanding. It's her anxiety about the future. It's her trauma from the past. It is an endless, torrential downpour of emotional chaos, and you are expected to stand there and soak it all up. You are her confidant, her rock, her therapist, her sounding board. You listen patiently. You offer solutions. You validate her feelings. You tell her she's right, that the world is unfair, that she deserves better. And after an hour, she feels relieved. She feels lighter. She thanks you for being so supportive. But how do you feel? You feel drained. You feel hollow. You feel a creeping resentment that you immediately suppress because that's what a good man does. You, brother, have become her emotional tampon. You are absorbing the emotional waste she cannot process herself. You are used when needed, providing comfort and utility, and then you are discarded until the next crisis. And here's the kicker. While you are busy being her therapist, you are actively destroying any chance you have of being her lover. You think this emotional intimacy is building a connection? It's not. It's building a prison. You are training her to see you not as a man, not as a leader, not as a partner, but as a psychological utility. Stop lying to yourself. Stop believing the societal script that tells you that endless empathy and emotional availability are the keys to a successful relationship. They are the keys to the friend zone, to the divorce court, to a life of quiet desperation. I have counseled hundreds of men who prioritized being supportive above all else. They sacrificed their own mental health, their own goals, their own masculinity, believing they were doing the right thing. And where did it get them? Cheated on, divorced, disrespected, left for a man who didn't listen, who didn't care, who provided none of the emotional support they provided. Today, we are ending this pathology. I'm going to explain the brutal mechanisms behind why your sensitivity is killing her attraction, why your support is generating contempt, and how you can stop being an emotional dumping ground and start reclaiming your dignity. This is not about being cold. This is about understanding the fundamental difference between masculine strength and feminine servitude. And right now, you are choosing servitude. You have been conditioned your entire life to believe a lie. This lie is insidious because it is disguised as virtue. The lie is this: to be a good man, you must be responsible for a woman's emotional state. Society, media, and even therapists have pushed the narrative that men need to get in touch with their feelings, be more vulnerable, and listen better. You are told that the masculine archetype of the strong, silent type is toxic. This is a catastrophic psychological operation designed to feminize you. It is designed to turn you from a leader into a follower, from a decision maker into a validation machine. And you bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. So what do? You engage with the chaos. When she comes to you with an emotional storm, you jump right into the middle of it. You become an emotional accountant. You meticulously track her grievances. You analyze her feelings. You try to balance the emotional books. You think you are helping. You are not helping. You are enabling. You are operating under the delusion that if you can just process enough of her emotions, you are not helping. You will reach a state of peaceful equilibrium. She will eventually run out of problems. She will never run out of problems. The female psyche is wired for emotional turbulence. It is wired to seek out anxiety, to scan the environment for threats, to test the boundaries of relationships. When you absorb that turbulence, You are not solving the problem. You are becoming the container for it. And eventually, the container breaks. Look at your behavior. You are prioritizing her comfort over your own mission. You are sacrificing your peace for her validation. You are training her that her feelings are more important than your reality. Stop. Stop asking, "How do you feel?" Stop saying, "Tell me more about that." Stop trying to hold space for her endless anxieties. Conventional advice tells you that this is how you build intimacy. This is a complete misunderstanding of the male-female dynamic. Intimacy, for a woman, is built on attraction and respect, and she cannot respect a man who is constantly mired in the emotional mud with her. She wants a man who is above the chaos, not in it. She wants a man who can handle the harsh realities of the world without crumbling, not a man who joins her in complaining about them. You need to wake up to the fact that your supportiveness is actually a form of weakness. It is a signal that you have no boundaries, no mission, no masculine core. You are advertising that you are easily manipulated by emotional displays. You are trying to win the game by playing by the wrong rules. This is not a game of empathy. This is a game of strength, frame control, and perceived value. And right now, your value is plummeting because you are defining yourself by your utility to her, rather than by your mastery of yourself. Why is being the emotional tampon so destructive? It's not just about the time and energy you lose. It's about the fundamental laws of attraction and the psychology of respect. You must internalize these 4 brutal truths. Brutal truth. Number 1. The paradox of support utility versus desire. This is the central paradox of modern relationships. Women will explicitly demand a man who is supportive, sensitive, and a good listener, but they will only be attracted to a man who is strong, decisive, and emotionally impenetrable. They ask for the beta buck, but they crave the alpha Fs. When you become the primary source of emotional support, you are firmly planting yourself in the utility category. You are useful. You are reliable. You are safe. And safe is boring. Safe is unattractive. Safe is the death of desire. Think of yourself as a portable power bank. When her emotional battery is low, she plugs into you. You recharge her. She unplugs and goes about her life, energized and ready to engage with the world. You are left depleted, waiting for the next time she needs a charge. People appreciate their power banks. They rely on them, but they do not desire them. They do not fantasize about them. They do not respect them. This is why you see it constantly. A woman will spend years complaining about her emotionally unavailable boyfriend to her supportive male friend. The friend listens, validates, and hopes that one day she will realize he is the good guy she deserves. She never realizes it. She stays with the unavailable guy, or she finds another one just like him. Why? Because the unavailable guy is not burdened by her emotions. He is indifferent to her chaos. He is prioritizing his own mission. And that indifference, that self-prioritization, is profoundly attractive. I had a client, a classic nice guy. He was dating a woman who was constantly stressed about her career. Every night, he would cook her dinner and spend hours listening to her vent about her coworkers, her projects, her ambitions. He offered advice. He proofread her emails. He was the perfect supportive partner. After 6 months, she broke up with him. Her reason? We just don't have any chemistry. She told him he felt more like a brother than a boyfriend. He was devastated. He had given her everything she asked for, but he didn't understand that by absorbing her stress, he had erased the tension required for attraction. He had become a utility, not a challenge. You must understand, she wants your strength, not your sympathy. She wants your mastery. She wants your strength. Brutal truth number 2. The contagion of chaos and the failure of frame. Masculinity is defined by the ability to impose order on chaos. It is about emotional control, discipline, and resilience. Femininity, in contrast, is often characterized by emotional fluidity, intuition, and turbulence. When you allow her emotional chaos to become your emotional chaos, you are abandoning your masculine frame and stepping into her feminine reality. This is catastrophic for the relationship dynamic. A woman needs to feel that the man she is with is stronger than her emotional storms. She needs to know that he can handle her at her worst without being consumed by it. This is the lighthouse analogy. A lighthouse does not try to calm the storm. It does not run around trying to save every sinking ship. It stands firm, impenetrable, shining its light, providing a fixed point of reference in the chaos. That is your job, to be the lighthouse. When you become the emotional tampon, you are not the lighthouse. You are the sponge floating in the turbulent water, absorbing the waves, becoming waterlogged and eventually sinking. When you engage with her drama, when you get upset because she is upset, absorbing the waves, when you engage with her drama, you are signaling that your emotional state is dependent on hers. This triggers a deep biological anxiety in her. If you cannot handle her emotions, when you prioritize her feelings over the objective reality of the situation, how can you handle real-world threats? How will you react when faced with financial hardship, illness, or genuine danger? She loses trust in your capacity to lead and protect, and that loss of trust is the precursor to contempt. She doesn't want you to feel her pain. She wants you to be the container for it. Yes, but an impenetrable container, not a permeable one. You are misunderstanding the assignment. You are supposed to contain it, not absorb it. Brutal truth number 3. Emotional venting as a subconscious test. This is crucial. When a woman comes to you with an endless stream of emotional problems, she is often not looking for solutions. She is looking for validation. Yes, but she is also subconsciously testing you. She is testing your frame. She is testing your strength. She is testing whether you are strong enough to withstand her emotional onslaught without breaking. These are called fitness tests, or, more commonly, shit tests. And every time you engage with the drama, these are called fitness tests, or, more commonly, you are failing the test. Every time you accept the premise of her irrational anxieties, every time you prioritize her feelings over reality, flinching, and you are reacting like an untrained fighter, she is throwing emotional punches, apologizing. Let me tell you about a guy who failed the test spectacularly. His wife was constantly anxious about their finances and trying to placate the attacker. She would obsess over minor expenses, criticizing his spending habits, even though they were objectively wealthy. Instead of standing firm in the reality of their wealth and dismissing her anxieties, creating spreadsheets of doom, he apologized for buying a new suit. He engaged with them. He absorbed her financial paranoia. He stressed over the grocery bill. Did she calm down? What happened? No. And her respect for him vanished. She began to see him as weak, fearful, and incompetent. She eventually divorced him, taking half of the wealth she was so anxious about, and immediately married a man who was far more dominant and carefree about money. When you validate the irrational, you become irrational. When you absorb the anxiety, you become anxious. When you fail the test, you lose the respect. She wants you to pass the test. She wants you to look at her emotional storm and say, I understand you are upset, but we will handle it. Or even better, to say nothing at all and simply remain grounded in your own reality. Brutal truth number 4. The rise of the professional victim and the validation economy. We live in a culture that rewards victimhood and encourages endless emotional processing. The modern woman is bombarded with messages telling her that her feelings are always valid, and that she is entitled to constant emotional support. This has created the archetype of the professional victim or the forever teenager. This is the individual who refuses to take responsibility for their own emotional state, who externalizes all their problems, and who demands constant validation from others. This has created the archetype of the professional victim or the forever teenager. You are not just hurting yourself, you are enabling her dysfunction. You are the dopamine dispenser for her anxieties. When you become the emotional tampon for this archetype, every time you validate her victim narrative, you are giving her a hit of dopamine that reinforces the behavior. Every time you tell her she is right and the world is wrong, she does not need to solve her own problems. She does not need to grow up. You are training her that she does not need to develop emotional resilience. This dynamic is profoundly selfish on her part, because you are always there to clean up the mess. But it is also profoundly weak on yours. You are deriving your sense of self-worth from your utility to her. This is the core of the rescuer complex, or Captain Save-A-Ho syndrome. You believe that if you can just save her from herself, she will finally love you. She will never love you. She will only resent you. Because deep down, she knows she is dysfunctional, and she despises you for enabling it. She despises you for not being strong enough to demand better from her. You are not her therapist. You are not her father. You are supposed to be her partner. And partnership requires two emotionally resilient adults, not one weak man constantly cleaning up the emotional spills of a perpetual child. So, you recognize the pattern. You understand the destructive dynamic. You realize you have sacrificed your masculinity on the altar of emotional availability. How do you stop? How do you remove yourself from the role of the emotional tampon and reclaim your frame?
It requires a fundamental shift in your mindset and a ruthless implementation of new behavioral protocols.
This will not be easy. You are addicted to this dynamic, and she is dependent on it. When you change the rules, there will be resistance. There will be conflict. You must be prepared for it. Here is your protocol for emotional decontamination. E. Implement immediate emotional distance. The first step is to create space between her emotions and your reality. You must stop engaging with the chaos. This means changing the way you communicate. When she comes to you with a daily download of drama,
You must short-circuit the conversation.
do not ask open-ended questions. Do not validate the irrational. Do not offer unsolicited advice. Adopt a posture of benevolent indifference. Listen briefly. Acknowledge her feelings without validating the content, and then move on. Example: she says, "My boss was so toxic today. I can't believe he said X. Y. Z. The old you, the tampon. Oh my God. Really? Tell me everything. That's horrible. You should report him to HR. The new you. The frame holder. Sounds rough. Anyway, what's the plan for dinner?" You are signaling that her emotional state is not the center of your universe. You are signaling that you have your own priorities, your own mission, your own reality. This will feel cold at first. It is not cold. It is necessary. R. The action, not feelings protocol. Men are wired for action and solutions. Women are wired for communication and emotions. You must operate within your masculine framework. When she presents a problem, you must shift the focus from feelings to action. Ask her, "What are you going to do about it?" This is a powerful question. It forces her to take responsibility for her own situation. It shifts the burden of the solution back onto her. If she resists, if she says, "I don't know, I just need you to listen," you must stand firm. Say, "I've listened. I can't solve this for you. When you have a plan, let me know. If the problem directly involves you and a solution is required, focus only on the objective facts and the logistical steps. Do not get drawn into the emotional meta-conversation. Sand. Set ruthless boundaries on time and energy. Your time and energy are your most valuable resources. You must stop giving them away for free. Set clear boundaries around when and how you are available for emotional discussions. Do not answer the late-night crisis calls. Do not engage in endless text message therapy sessions. Designate specific times for communication and enforce those limits. If a conversation devolves into unproductive venting or drama, end the conversation. Say, "We are not making progress here. I'm going to go do X," and then walk away. You must protect your mental bandwidth. Your priority is your mission, your goals, your peace of mind, not her emotional turbulence. C. Prepare for the extinction burst. This is critical. When you stop providing the emotional validation she is accustomed to, she will not react calmly. She will escalate the behavior. This is called an extinction burst. It is the psychological equivalent of a child throwing a temper tantrum when denied candy. She will accuse you of being cold, uncaring, selfish, or narcissistic. She will provoke arguments. She will manufacture crises to draw you back into the old dynamic. You must anticipate this backlash and remain completely unmoved by it. This is the ultimate test of your frame. If you give in, if you apologize, if you revert to the emotional tampon role, this is the ultimate test of your frame. She will manufacture crises to draw you back into the old dynamic. If you apologize, you will reinforce the behavior and make it even harder to change in the future. Let her cry. You must stand firm in your new reality. Indifferent, remain stoic, and focused on your own mission. The storm will pass. She will either adapt to the new dynamic, realizing that you are no longer available for emotional dumping, or she will leave. Woo. Accept the consequences, the freedom of letting go. This is the hardest part. You must be willing to lose the relationship. If she cannot handle a man who refuses to be her therapist, if she cannot respect a man who prioritizes his own mission and peace of mind, then she is not the woman for you. You must accept that your value as a man is not defined by your utility to her. It is defined by your commitment to your own excellence, your own integrity, your own masculinity. Stopping being the emotional tampon is not about saving the relationship. It is about saving yourself. It is about reclaiming your dignity, your energy, and your future. If she leaves, let her go. Your energy, respect, let her go. Rather than servitude, you will be free to build a life based on strength, resentment. So there it is. The brutal truth about why your sensitivity is killing your soul and destroying your relationships. You have been lied to. You have been trained to believe that being a man means being an emotional dumping ground. You have been conditioned to sacrifice your masculinity for the illusion of intimacy. You now understand the paradox of support, the contagion of chaos, the nature of subconscious tests, and the pathology of the validation economy. You have the protocol to stop. Implement emotional distance. Focus on action, not feelings. Set ruthless boundaries. Withstand the extinction burst, and be willing to walk away. The path is clear, but are you going to take it? I doubt it. Most of you watching this are too afraid. You are too addicted to feeling needed. You are too terrified of conflict. You are too invested in the nice guy persona that society has programmed into you. You will watch this video. You will nod your head in agreement. And then you will go right back to soaking up her emotional waste. You will go right back to prioritizing her feelings over your reality. You will go right back to being the supportive, sensitive, and utterly unattractive utility that you are. Why? Because it's easier to be an emotional tampon than to be a man. It's easier to placate than to lead. It's easier to absorb the chaos than to impose order. It's easier to remain in the familiar misery of the friend zone than to face the terrifying uncertainty of demanding respect. You prefer the illusion of connection to the reality of self-mastery. So go ahead. Keep listening. Keep validating. Keep sacrificing your peace of mind for her dopamine hits. Keep wondering why she respects you less and less every day. Or you can wake up. You can embrace the harsh reality. You can reclaim your frame. You can stop being a utility and start being a man. The choice is yours. But remember this: desire is never negotiated. It is earned through strength. Prove me wrong. If you recognize yourself in this pattern, if you have been the emotional tampon, I want to hear your story in the comments. How did it affect your relationship? How did you break free? We need to expose this silent epidemic.